Welcome to this week's edition of the RazReport. We have a special guest with us, Anthony Denier, the CEO of Webull. Anthony, welcome.
Thank you for having me on, Jay Raz. Appreciate it very much.
Yes, Anthony is the CEO of one of the fastest growing online brokerages and truly pumped to have him. He knows fintech. He's been in the industry for a long time and has been building different businesses in the fintech space. So I'm excited to have this conversation with him because it's not going to just be about Webull. It's going to be about the overall industry, changing commission structure, and just where things are going. So, Anthony, can you just, as we start, tell us a little bit about your background before you got to Webull?
So I started as a trader on the trading desk at a big investment bank called Credit Suisse. I worked there for quite a while doing different things, mainly trading non-US equities, which on the US side would be ADRs, and talking to US hedge funds on their investment and what they were trading to source liquidity. Now, that's kind of what got my foot in the door in this business. And as it evolved over time, I moved away from a lot of the person-to-person connections, which was like basically the paramount of the business was your relationships with your customers, to more electronic facing solutions for the customer base. So Credit Suisse happened to be one of the pioneers in electronic trading at the time, which was very new. They pioneered a service called AES, Advanced Execution Services, where customers could literally type in their orders into a machine. And it was one of the first algos that were sold to buy-side traders where they could target VWAP, they can look for liquidity spikes in stocks, they can hide and call like sniper suites where they can just start pulling offers if they started to bunch up. So it was kind of the beginning of that trend toward the business going from the floor broker and the guy running the ticket to one person, another guy entering the order, to a one-stop. If a buyer wants to buy a stock, they enter something in their computer and it goes down electronically and the machine actually does the buying and selling for them. And I spent probably the next 10 years after that building out those electronic systems on multiple trading desks across Wall Street. About 6 years ago, I moved into management and was a CEO of a UK firm called LXM. There we focused on the same thing, right? Building out the electronic services for our customer base being hedge funds and institutions. When I say institutions, I'm talking like Fidelity, T. Rowe Price, the names you would know at home because you see the commercials all the time. And I had an opportunity. I saw the change that was happening in fintech. And when I mean fintech, I mean the retail broker dealer space on a mobile based system. And specifically, I'm talking about Robinhood. Robinhood had just started in 2014. They were starting to gain some speed. And I saw an opportunity there. And I met up with a technology company that was building a really powerful app. We partnered together. And I started the Webull Financial Broker Dealer in June of 2017. We launched our product in May of 2018 to the public to get our first new US brokerage accounts. And now fast forward, 2 3/4 years later, we are now a player in the retail app-based brokerage space where I don't want to talk market share because I don't want to talk out of turn and this may not age well, but we are probably one of the biggest in the space right now.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of account openings that I hear through the, transom is unbelievable. And what Webull has done in such a short amount of time is truly one of the most amazing things I've seen in terms of going from zero to where you're at today. Because how did Webull start? Like, how did it come into existence?
There was no real revenue generation at the time. We had, we provided basically everything you can get on like a Yahoo Finance website, and they produced it really seamlessly and easy to follow on a mobile app. And then they started adding different layers of charting capabilities and analysis on the stocks. And they found, the creator of the Webull app found that there were so many users combining their portfolios, whether they traded at Fidelity, Schwab, E-Trade, TD, and they were combining their portfolios and actually looking on like a multiple day basis at the Webull app and doing their analysis on the go using our technology. And then they were going to execute their trade somewhere else on their brokerage platform, right? And I mean, obviously, writing on the wall was super clear at that point. They needed a broker dealer to build out that business because at the time everyone was paying probably $7.99 was maybe the blended average for online trades at the time when we decided to build the broker deal in the U.S. And ever since then, it's been a really fun ride.
Absolutely, it's tremendous. What I've seen in the past 2-3 years. We were talking about your growth, Webull's growth. How long you been CEO at the company for?
Well, I started the company, Jason. Started back in June of 2017.
Anthony, how long you been CEO and founder? When did you start this thing?
Since June 2017, Jason. I am the CEO and founder of Webull Financial, the broker-dealer arm of the Webull app.
Now, did you think like 3 years ago when you were doing this more on the institutional side that you're going to get involved in building a product for retail users and the tremendous growth that you have? I mean, arguably in the world, you're probably one of the top 5, top 3 growing brokerages. I mean, it is truly unbelievable, dude.
I think maybe the fact, now nothing is certain anymore, but I think my background not being retail is really one of the things that propelled Webull to that next level. And I say that humbly because Webull is very different than most of the mobile app-based brokerages that are out there, especially the ones that cater to younger people, where we are differentiated because of our sophistication. Most of the mobile apps that were around before Webull and are around now are more of an introductory course or the first brokerage account that a younger person or a new investor has to get access to the capital markets, whether through equities, options, or crypto. Webull takes a very different approach, and a lot of that comes from my background of being an institutional trader, of being a professional trader for over 20 years, where I understand the importance of having analytics, of having the right data, of having the right news feeds and the right information in front of you so you can make better trades, right? And there's one thing to be able to buy a share of Apple in the market. Like, that's great. It's much better to make a profitable trade of Apple in the market. And with having those tools, whether it be, your ability to do some more chart analytics, right? To look at the candlesticks, to look at a moving average, or to notice an RSI trend happening. You can't do that on any other beginner level app. And Webull has always tried to educate and steer our users into becoming a more sophisticated investor. And that's something we're really proud of, and something that I hope that my background of being a professional trader, instead of being a tech guy, helps Webull in that regards, where we can put the proper products and news feeds and information and data in front of them.
No, I agree with you. I think that institutional background, like you said, it's not just going to make the trade, but finding useful information. And you mentioned news feeds. Benzinga provides a great news feed. It's in Webull. And another thing that Webull helps, it's the discovery. I mean, I was, I use the Webull app, and you're back in the day when, Corona was, it's big again, but I wanted to find more outdoor plays. So I own Polaris and a few other stocks, but I couldn't just think of what are the outdoor stocks? What are the boating stocks? I didn't know. I've heard of Mastercraft. I didn't know it was a public company. I went in the Webull app, and literally right on the front page, you had 10 stocks there for me, and it was unbelievable. It was just so useful, and that utility that I got. And I think that a lot of that, comes from your, product, but it comes from what you were doing on the institutional desk. When you had guys looking for one trade, you're looking for the derivative trades. And I think that is in no small part to your experience, right?
The most valuable commodity in this day and age is information. And the person with the most information is the person that's going to profit, especially when it comes to being an active trader. You can spend hours on a Google search figuring out which companies are a good outdoor play. But you know what? That information should be right in front of you. And you walk outside your house and you're like, wait a minute, it's summertime, we're in pandemic. I bought 3 slip-in slides at Walmart this week because they constantly break. I just put in a basketball hoop. My kids are, my kids are pining for, a watercraft, right? Or a jet ski or something like that. And it dawns upon you, wait a minute, there's a trade here. There's an opportunity. And you can spend hours trying to figure out which one's public. Is Polaris public, or is it owned by someone else, right? Is Honda public, or is it owned by some big conglomerate? That information right in front of you, easy to access on your mobile device, kind of defines what separates Webull from everyone else.
Yep, totally. And now I'm going to go a little more macro. It's been about, I don't know, a year, I think, to, when zero commission started taking place brokerage wide. What do you think about that? How has zero commission impacted the industry, impacted your company, but and also just talking like from an investor perspective, what do you think that's done for investors? When I say zero commissions, for people who are new to the podcast and the video, I'm referring to when you make a trade, the commission is zero to sell shares or buy shares of an equity.
Yeah, well, that was a defining moment, I think, for all the neo brokers, right, as we're sometimes called, where the biggest players in the online brokerage industry are very simply Fidelity, TD, Schwab, and E-Trade. They have the lion's share of the U.S. retail investing public. They have been in a commission war for 20 years now, where it started out at $29.99 a trade and kept going down slowly and slowly, and someone would bring it down to $9.99 and $7.99. And when zero commission brokers like Webull came onto the scene in pretty much 2017 and started getting some momentum, there was not a lot of confidence in our platform. And when I say confidence, the American public has an idea that when you use a service, you should be paying for that service. And so they believe that the commission model was the correct model, where their orders would be protected, where they get best executions. Their money would be safe because they believed they were paying for a service. Now, when the world went zero, when Schwab, TD, Fidelity, all the big players, when they went to zero commission because of the market share that firms like Webull were taking from them, it vindicated our model. It took all the naysayers and it took all the conspiracy theorists out there thinking that there was some sort of scam, that we were just opening up brokerage accounts, giving you free trades so we can steal your data and send it somewhere else. Or you could just name, hundreds of different theories that were out there. It made them completely debunked, completely nonsense. Now that TD was doing it, Schwab was doing it, Fidelity was doing it, they basically vindicated the model that we said this is the future of retail trading. And from that moment, I remember it very clearly, it was a little over a year ago, like you mentioned, there was a moment where we all kind of sat back and said, this is either going to be the make or break moment for our model, right? Because the number one line item we had in why choose Webull over TD, the number one reason was zero commission. And they took that whole line item away by going zero commission. And it turns out that it actually made our business grow probably 3 times faster than we had 1 month earlier, because no one believed in zero commission as a principle and no one even knew we existed. So now we had people searching for zero commission brokers and Webull popped up.
Wow, that's very interesting. And I remember the night that Charles Schwab released the press release, went to zero commission. It corresponded to the time that Charles Schwab was releasing his book, and he was about investing for all. And it was like, the timing was interesting. But the other take is a lot of people said, okay, the zero commission brokers are going to be in trouble that are out. And it had the direct opposite effect, because you were already ranking so high and known for zero commission. You actually got more customers out of it, not less.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it's a weird thing. Everyone said that when Charles Schwab did that, it was the most expensive marketing ploy of all time. Right, because you saw Charles Schwab's stock price when they announced zero commission. I think it dropped by like 25% overnight, because it took up about 25% of their top line revenue. So yeah, I mean, it was vindication. It was an awesome moment.
And then also, as you know, Charles Schwab bought Ameritrade at arguably one of the at a lower price than because when they announced zero commission, that Ameritrade stock got impacted a lot because they make a lot on commissions.
Well, they are a trading firm, and they know how to get information out there and make a better trade. And they scooped TD up at a nice little discount from when they were negotiating like 2 months earlier.
Yeah, that's interesting. So that's in the industry and how that changed over time. What do you, and maybe you don't want to share because you have your secret sauce and what you think in prognosticator for the future, But what do you think's next? Like, what do you think happens to the investors and trading and just overall, like, what's next for the industry? Or is there not next and it's just we improve, we offer better tools, better content? What do you think is next, Anthony?
Yeah, well, this industry is very, very competitive. We're all vying for, the same type of customer, which is an educated customer. So you have to bring constant improvements to your platform, right? And that's always going to be there. And I think it always has been there. And I legitimately think that all brokers make a really strong effort to constantly better themselves. But in terms of evolution, this is nowhere near the end. This is just the beginning. Zero commission is the tip of the iceberg in what's going to change in our industry. We talk about commission being a barrier for entry. Well, there's going to be now incentives to entry, I think, in the near future, where there's not only going to be zero commission, but there's going to be revenue sharing between brokers and their customers. Webull already started this program where we have a fully paid for stock lending program. So if you own any shares of, say, Apple or Tesla in your portfolio, and they're just sitting there in your Webull account, we're lending those shares out to short sellers as a source of revenue. And immediately we are sharing that revenue with our customer. And so at the end of the month, our customers will see revenue coming into their account from Webull actually lending out and doing all the work to lend their shares. Very few brokers do that. Very few brokers do not share revenue that way.
Wait, wait, hold on. So tell me more about that. So, like, let's just say, for example, I know a heavily shorted stock is Tesla. And let's say you know someone, maybe myself, that has a decent amount of Tesla, well, on a relative terms. If I had that stock in Webull, you're telling me that I could get interest on that?
It's not interest.
Not interest. Yeah. Whatever the.
It's not technically interest because we can't give you a guaranteed rate because it all goes by supply and demand. But if the demand for shorting shares of Tesla skyrockets, then we are going to be able to send out your shares to short sellers on a borrow basis. Means no difference to your portfolio. If your shares were lent out and you wanted to sell your whole position in Tesla, it would not stop you for 1 nanosecond to do so. Okay. But every day that your shares are on loan to a short seller, that short seller is paying us whatever the market rate is at the time. Let's just say it's $1 a day. Our customers are then participating in that revenue generation with the broker.
Wow. And when did you put that in place?
We've had that in place for a good 1.5 years now.
Is it for every, I mean, is it for every stock or is it not? Just when it's, how does that work? Is it for the Apples and Googles?
It's pretty much every stock. But again, if you own shares of Apple and Apple is not really a highly short interest stock, you're probably not going to be making revenue on your position in Apple other than the yield that the stock produces. When you have maybe some cannabis shares, which I know you guys know a lot about at Benzinga, that are moving, right? I mean, we saw them going 25%, now they're back down. Those are heavily volatile stocks. You get a lot of return on your borrows for cannabis stocks, as an example. It all depends on the supply demand.
So at the end of the month, do I look in my Webull account and I see the amount of money I earn from, borrows? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, it'll look like a dividend almost, but instead of saying, Tesla paid you, well, Tesla doesn't pay dividends, GE paid you a dividend, it'll say you earn this much on your Tesla stock lending program.
Wow. It's just fun to even try that and see that. I mean, in this world where fighting for yield anywhere is impossible, like that we talked about. Okay, now I want to switch over to cryptocurrency. Okay, and why I'm switching over to that first question is, do you even care about cryptocurrency? Is it something you may want to get into in the future, or are you just like, hey, we're focused on equities, we're not on the cryptocurrency?
Well, to be honest, I am hyper-focused on cryptocurrency at the moment. So I'm very happy to say that Webull has launched our beta cryptocurrency trading platform, where we currently have about 15,000 of our beta test accounts. These are customer accounts that are right now trading crypto. And it's an ideal product, not only for the timing, interest rates low, inflation high, right? And a lot of uncertainty out there. Crypto is the new liquid gold. And that's not my quote. That's actually Stan Druckenmiller's quote. Crypto is the gold for the new generation. And especially when you have a younger investor base, They're very comfortable with owning, whether it be a Bitcoin, an Ethereum, a Litecoin as an asset class, and it's now a legitimate asset class to hedge your portfolio. So we expect by Thanksgiving of this year, we will have all of our Webull customers being able to trade crypto. One thing though, and I don't know if your listeners know this, I don't know if you know this, Jay, crypto is a 24/7, 365 market. There's no opening, there is no close. There is no margin calls. There is no PDT rule, right, for active traders. So you can essentially buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell crypto thousands of times a day, all day long, at 3 in the morning on Christmas Day. And it's just that cool of a new product that is very, very different from what the typical trader knows in equities or options.
So
we're really happy to have it.
So it's probably just different risk levels. It's definitely something that's going to be more actively traded. But can you use leverage on crypto for you guys?
That's the one thing. No, it's a cash product.
Okay.
There is no leverage on crypto, but it is fractional. So even though a Bitcoin trades for approximately $15,000 per coin, you can buy on Webull $1 minimum order. So if you wanted to buy $1 worth of Bitcoin, you can buy $1 worth. So it appeals to all levels of investors in all asset classes.
Got it. And we, I host different shows, and we have a lot of users that we use Webull, and it's because of the advanced features. So as a leader, how have you been able to instill such a fast pace of innovation at Webull? And honestly, I would love if you could give details, like, do you do wireframes and have them planned out for 3 months, 6 months in advance? I mean, the pace of innovation is awesome. And this was actually, I told our users that we would have you on, and someone asked, how have they been able to build these little tools in that I've wanted, and they seem like they do it seemingly fast. So I don't know what you can add there, but that was the question basically.
Yeah, I mean, it's a simple answer. We take customer feedback and customer response extremely, extremely close to heart. We are a retail platform. We have a vibrant community on our platform, and we interact with those community members. And if we see something trending, like, hey, it'd be really cool if we had this new indicator on the charts, we're going to put that indicator on the chart. We're not going to, because management maybe has, or I have some goal in which way to take the company. That's the battleship, right? It takes a long time to turn that. But when you have the little lifeboats on the side, like adding new features, adding little product updates, adding all these bug fixes, adding these new little quirks and easier navigation tools, that's something we're constantly doing nonstop. And how do we get it done? I mean, we work our asses off, man. I mean, we're driven. Success and drive breeds more success and drive. And the more positive feedback we get, the more fuel it gives us to just get more of that positive feedback. And I mean, it's been a really fun ride, man. We're not tired. We got a lot more to go.
And I've seen that passionate team that you've built. And I've seen some of them, and they're excited by it. They love what they do, and that makes a tremendous difference. So moving a little bit away from Webull for a second, what do you think the kids going to college now, when they're graduating, what do you think they're going to do? Are they going to open a brokerage account, a bank account? Are they going to go to branches? What do you think people are going to do? The kids who are entering college now, by the time they're out of college, are they going to local bank branch? I'm just asking a more overall fintechy question.
Right. I think the answer is going to be obvious from a fintech guy. I envy the young people of today, because when probably you and I both went to college, we learned by either doing it on the job or failing at it, right? When it comes to investing or trading. I think the youth today has not only a really strong peer-to-peer network, whether it be on Reddit, Discord, YouTube, there's a lot of legitimate influence out there that send the message of financial literacy, financial freedom, whether it comes from guys like Brandon Copeland or even guys like Dave Portnoy, right? I mean, there is a literacy that comes with learning how to manage your money that I don't think any generation has ever had even close to what they have today. So what does the future hold? Well, the future is mobile, without a doubt. If you cannot open up a bank account and bank through your mobile device, you're dead in the water. If you can't seamlessly integrate, which we're starting to see that evolution now of banking and investing together, and the Cash App has done a really good job of that, although it's not so much for a trader. It's more kind of general investing. That is going to be, how we're going to continue to change. And just like, I talk with different, with peers and some of my competitors in the space, the TD Schwab merger, I think, is an example of old world thinking where one size fits all. And if you just look at, I mean, look at what my kids play with on their devices, they're not on one app all day. They're jumping around. They're on multiple different platforms that to me all do the same thing, right? But to them, each app is different in its own particular way, just like brokers or investment tools right now on the phone. They're all different a little bit of way. One size does not fit all. And that's going to continue to be the trend. And there's going to be certain segments for certain types of investors.
Got it. Agreed. What, this is from another person who tweeted in, any thoughts on robo-advisors or automated strategies?
Yeah, so Webull right now caters to the active investor, right? Someone that's into the markets. Obviously, we have a lot of tools, some of them very sophisticated. So we have a certain demographic that we're interested in right now. We are in the process of actually rolling out. We have already had created Webull advisors. We have gotten SEC approval to become an advisor, and we'll slowly start integrating a passive and portfolio rebalancing platform into Webull. I expect we'll start having some more news probably in about 9 months from now.
So you're saying there'll be actually advisors that users can talk to, or advisors that set up the portfolios? Which one?
No, Jason. It's gonna be robo-led. It's gonna be
robo-led. So this is the robo-led product. Okay, got it.
Yes.
That's awesome. And you have to have you. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, we have the active investors, but there's a lot of investors on Webull that are much more passive. And this is a tool for our current accounts that just aren't into trading every day. They have busy lives, and they'd rather have a little more of a passive experience.
Got it. No, that makes sense. I mean, people want control, and that's what Webull is great for. And I mean, it's awesome. Again, like I said, I use my example of the outdoor stocks, and I'll use it multiple times because in 3 years ago, 2 years ago, a year ago, 6 months before that, I would have had a lot less profit if it wasn't for Webull. Like, I didn't know about MasterCraft being a public company. No, it's completely true too. I mean, yes, Webull and with some Benzinga news in there helped me make sure the company was legit and all this stuff. I want to make sure they're producing products, but seriously, there was 3 outdoor stocks, because you're talking about robos. I'm not a robo guy. I like to find companies and then go deep in that company versus doing a broad basket of stocks. I'll sometimes do it. Like I bought the energy stocks recently. I bought the energy ETF recently just for a few days because if travel is going to pick up, if the vaccine works, and I may buy it again. But most of the time I'm buying individual stocks or selling individual stocks. I mean, most of the time. Okay. Couple more things that we want to go to. What is the most, and this might not be one answer, but my colleague wanted me to ask, what is the most important thing a broker can do for their client?
Number one most important thing is protect their client, hands down. Customer protection, making sure that their assets are safe, making sure the security and their privacy is safe, and their account access, especially access to their account, is safe.
Got it. Okay, good answer. Okay, and then it seems like we're seeing these days on Benzinga.com, users are starting to care a lot more about education and less interested in being told exactly what stocks to buy. Are you guys seeing that too?
Yeah, absolutely. And that goes with this younger demographic and this much more educated investor now, where they have the tools that investors didn't have only 5 years ago, where they would go to their JP Morgan account and JP Morgan would tell them exactly what they should be buying. And they just kind of blindly followed and paid JP Morgan their fees. That is not today's reality. The reality is you put opportunities in front of the customer, and you show them how to use these different tools, and they come up with their own investment thesis. And not only makes them become a better investor, smarter financially, especially for the long term, but it creates a better user experience too, where they get to interact back and forth with the product and learn as they go.
Got it. No, I mean that's what Webull's doing. So you've been in the market a long time. You've been, you've seen generations, you've seen years, you have experience. If you had to give like one or two tips to a new investor, or relatively new investor, what would they be?
Well, my number one that I always say, and this even goes for my family, is invest in what you know. If you're a medical doctor and you know medical devices, you know pharmaceuticals, have at it, right? If you're a guy like me and knows absolutely nothing about the drug sector, I don't touch it. If you're a car guy, invest in the autos. If you see the trends, you see what's coming. I mean, look at the pop we saw in Ford, right? And all those car buffs looking at that, the Bronco coming out, the electric F-150, and Ford's had a quite nice run. I mean, you guys in Detroit see the $100 million in debt they just raised to expand their plant and to hire. I mean, this is, these
I like Ford. I like
too.
Ford. That Bronco is sweet. And Luke actually bought it here today for our live. We have a live show at 12:15. He bought it on the show.
How was he able to get in? I thought there was a big wait list.
No, sorry. He bought the stock of Ford on the show
today. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, how do you get a Bronco? I gotta call up Luke. Why am I talking to Jason? I gotta talk to Luke.
Yeah, well, one of our guys, his dad works at Ford Credit. He's uber fan of Ford, and Ford's been a dead stock for 10 years. But I think it's Ford's time where you're going to see Ford at $12 versus where it's at. Okay, so the last few questions are more about you, and they're a little bit more fun questions, okay? What was your worst or first job? Either one or both you can add if you'd like.
Well, worst isn't necessarily the first.
Yep. So if you don't have like a worst, like we had someone.
I have a lot. I have a lot of really bad jobs. So quick background. I am a product. I'm from Long Island. Grew up probably 50. My house is 15 miles from New York City. My house I grew up in. I come from a very working class family in a working class town. My father was a sanitation worker for the city of New York. I am the first person in my family to have a college degree. I'm sure, queue up all the same things you've heard before. I'm the first. But during my younger years, my dad forced me, well, he didn't force me, I did it on my own, but my dad recommended, and I did, to take all the NYPD exams, right? Especially Nassau County cops, Suffolk County cops, while I was in college. I ended up going to Columbia University. I graduated in 4 years, thankfully. And it was a mind-opening experience, and that's what got me into the finance world. Now, while I was in college, I had no money. I mean, I'm still picking up some of the college debt bills every once in a while that I see trickle in. But I did a lot of different, I would say, hourly work jobs where I did a lot of demolition, where I'd knock down houses and carry out the stuff. And the worst job I ever had by far was being a roofer in the middle of August. And not only is it extremely scary and dangerous, I'm not a big fan of heights, but it's hot, and it's probably the most physically brutal work I've ever done.
Wow. And how many hours a day did you do that for?
Well, I mean, a full day, right? So we're working at least 8 hours, probably for like $60 cash at the time.
Was it just the worst?
It's the worst. It's absolutely the worst. I literally, I swore to myself I would, after doing that for that one summer, I swore to myself I would never do that again.
Yeah, I mean,
hats off to your roofers out there, and I don't know how you guys do it. You guys got some work ethic that I can't compete with on that physical side.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, you took all those tests. I mean, your dad got you working. I mean, that's what it's about. I mean, it's about creating the American dream and doing what you're passionate about. And it sounds like you've done that and more. I'm assuming your parents are probably pretty proud of you these days.
Yeah, I think so. I think
Yeah.
so. We have a very good relationship too, and it's something's to be said about growing up in a household that values hard work and ethics, and that's something I will always be proud of.
Anything that I missed that I should ask or you want to share?
I mean, we touched on the crypto, which is something I really wanted to talk about because it's something new that we're launching.
That's exciting.
I think it's going to be a big one for us too. By the way,
the Benzinga FinTech Awards, you won.
Oh yeah. How do we miss that?
Yeah, I don't know. I had it written down too. The best mobile app for the Benzinga FinTech Awards yesterday. Congrats to Webull. It's a really good app. If you haven't used it, guys, download it. Trust me. I know you're like, I don't want another app. I'm telling you, you'll find profitable trades. You will. Or if you don't find profitable trades, you'll find ideas that'll lead you to trades. That's what I would say, because they're not going to say go buy Tesla. They're just going to show you what help you make decisions quicker. At the end of the day, we all want more utility. We want to be able to find stuff in a shorter amount of time. So improve your utility. Get stuff done. We have this WIMS product where it's like one sentence why a stock moved. It's because we want to be able to get more done in a short amount of time, and that's what Webull did for me when I was looking for outdoor plays, because I was doing exactly what Anthony described earlier. I was Googling for it, which was not effective.
One thing I wanted to point out was our partnership with Benzinga, right? And we talk about it at Webull, we talk about our news services, our data has to be the best possible for our users. And that's one of the reasons why we partnered with Benzinga, because there's so much noise out there. There's so much delay when you partner with a service, and Benzinga does a really, really good job at getting to the reason why a stock's moving. And that's really important when it comes to making a quick decision, instead of finding out the reason 3 paragraphs down on a delayed news service or a delayed news wire. And we're very, very proud of and happy with our relationship.
Yeah, and thank you for saying that. And there is a ton of noise out there. People just duplicate the content and don't really care at the end result of what the investor sees. We take great pride in providing quality information, and that could affect a stock move, affect a stock movement. And that's why we do these interviews. We have plenty of CEOs we interview of companies, because it's not just aggregation, it's also origination and getting that quality content that you expect to see in an app like Webull. And you'll see more of that. And if anyone's listening to this, check out the app and then either join and set up an account. You could read more about Webull on our site. There's definitely articles on how to use it. I just read one recently. Webull, their title is, if you want to Google it later, Webull leverages crisis to spur innovation in financial wellness. And that was written by Renato. It's a great article. It interviews you and talks about the different things that they're doing there. So I think we've covered most things, but hopefully we'll do this more often. And maybe the next one we do is more talking about fintech in general, how it'll change for students, how you can use for your kids, like an app for them to think about savings and points. I mean, that's what my kids, they sit on TikTok sometimes and watch these videos. I'm like, I'm like thinking that time they're using to watch these TikToks could be used something else more productive. So we got to figure that out. But Anthony's one of the really smart guys in the industry, or just all around. So we want guys like this to be repeat guests to talk about these things. It may not be on just to talk about Webull, but we'll talk about just in general fintech and markets and all that stuff. So
happy to do so.
Yeah. So thank you for coming on. This is one of the good ones. A great story. Started the company a few years ago, and it is growing like wildfire. I mean, this is one of those things that pay attention, and I think you'll see a bunch of news updates from them. And again, thank you for coming on, Anthony, and we look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you, Jason, and thanks for having me on.